Hello and welcome. My name is Kathy, and thank you for joining me. I'm the owner and operator of Holistic Body-Mind Wellness using integrative healing through the Body Talk system. The purpose of this video is to share with you one Body Talk technique known as our Cortices technique. This is a powerful technique. Many people have experienced profound shifts using just this technique on its own. It can also be used as part of a full Body Talk session if you're wanting to take the healing deeper. Some of the things that you can experience using this technique is relief of headaches, increased mental focus, mental clarity, and if you're feeling stressed, it's a good idea to use this technique. It can help calm us down. If you're having difficulty sleeping, try using this technique. So the underlying theory behind our Cortices technique is that at some level, all disease is reflected in the brain. So what we're doing is allowing both the left and right hemispheres of our brain to communicate better so that the brain can function optimally, because the brain controls our entire body-mind. And how we do this is by forming a bridge between the two hemispheres. We use our hand as the bridge because our hand creates an electrical field. And we know this, and you may have done this, where we close our eyes and slowly begin to bring our hands together until you sense or you feel that electrical field. And when we bring our hands together or place our hands on a particular body part, we are creating a north and south pole in this electrical magnetic field. And when we do this and implement specific tapping, we're creating a standing wave. You can think of a standing wave as a tsunami, and of course we all know how powerful tsunamis can be. So too can this technique. It can bring about powerful shifts. The specific technique for the tapping that I mentioned is first done at the top of our head. And when we tap our head, we want to make sure that we get both hemispheres of our brain and not just one side. Then we tap our heart complex, because the heart plays a significant role in this technique as well, because the heart also has its own electrical frequency. So I'm going to show you first how this technique should look, and then we're going to go through and do this together so that you will experience healing for yourself. We're going to cover systematically all parts of our brain. So we use our bridge, and we place our hands at the base of our occiput with our thumb at the very top of our neck. Then with our other hand, we tap. As we inhale, we tap the top of our head, and as we exhale, we tap our heart complex. We want to do 2 rounds of tapping. So again, inhale to tap our head, and exhale to tap our heart. Then the hand that's at the base of our occiput, we slide it 1 hand width higher. So we're still on our occiput. Then again, inhale to tap our head, and exhale to tap our heart. Do that for 2 rounds. Then slide our hand 1 hand width higher, so now we're at the back of our head. And again, we tap for 2 rounds. Then we slide our hand 1 hand width higher. Now we're at the top of our head. You can tap your hand, because by tapping our hand, we're still tapping our head, or you might feel more comfortable tapping just behind or just in front of our head. And we tap again for 2 rounds. Then we slide our hand 1 hand width higher, so now we're just above our eyebrows. And again, we tap for 2 rounds. There's one more hand position to cover, and that's going to require both hands. So we place our hands with our thumbs on the tops of our ears and our hands on the sides of our head so that our fingers are pointing back. This just might be the most important area. This is our limbic brain that we're addressing with our hands on the sides of our head. And our limbic brain is responsible for our emotions. Our emotions play a huge role in our body-mind health. So again, we place our hands on the sides of our head, And since we don't have a third hand, we're going to have to remove one hand, but that's okay because we've established the circuitry. So now we can briefly remove one hand to do the tapping. And again for a second round. Then reestablish that circuitry by finishing with our hand again on the sides of our head. And that's all we have to do. So let's go through now and do this together. While I do this, I will be mostly closing my eyes. And this is to help me increase my focus. When you get comfortable with this so that you don't have to watch the video, I encourage you to close your eyes as well. And then simply focus on the area of your brain that's directly underneath your hand. Think of the cold spots in your brain warming up, thinking of all those neural pathways warming up, laying down new neural pathways. Just focus on the area of your brain that's underneath your hand. So again, one hand with our thumb at the top of our neck and our hand at the base of our skull. Then inhale to tap our head. And exhale, we tap our heart. Inhale again, tap our head and our heart. Then slide our hand that's on our head, one hand width higher. And again, inhale to tap. And exhale to tap our heart. Do that a second round. Take our hand again, one hand width higher. So now we're at the back corner of our head. And we tap. Now our hand is one hand width higher. We're at the top of our head. You can tap either your hand or behind or in front of your hand. And exhale to tap our heart. And again, inhale to tap. And exhale, tap our heart. Slide our hand one hand width higher, so we're finishing just above our brow line now. And we inhale to tap. And our heart as we exhale. The second round. Then we place both hands on the sides of our head with our thumbs covering the tops of our ears. And again, you might even take one full breath before you start tapping. Then inhale, remove one hand to tap our head, and exhale to tap our heart. Do that a second time. And our heart. And then again, reestablish that circuitry by placing our hand on the sides of our head. And there you go. I showed you the tapping with my hand like this. You can also tap like this, just as long as you're getting both sides of your head. So now that we've done this technique, I encourage you to find a way to make this a routine. Try and do this every day, because with consistency, you'll begin to experience profound changes. Don't look necessarily for, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I noticed this is happening. But look instead more for incremental shifts to take place. So whatever you can do to make this a routine for you. Some people, just before they drift off to sleep, tap your cortices. You might even find that it helps you to sleep. For some people, just before you get out of bed, tap your cortices. Have a shower, tap your cortices. Whatever you can do to establish a routine and include your cortices technique, I encourage you to do this. So thank you for joining me. I invite you now to look further on my website and to set up your own discovery session. This is a personal session with you and I. And again, it costs absolutely nothing to investigate a little bit further. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.